I had always found myself drawn to the unknown of the outdoors. From a young age, I would wander off on family hikes and find myself lost. Spending nearly a couple days on my own, my family couldn't find me. But when they did find me, they were worried about me. That seemed peculiar to myself because I didn't understand the dangers of the unknown of the world. Wandering aimlessly around the woods was fun for me, but it turned into a bad habit eventually. Even after all these years from when I was a kid living in the northern parts of New York, I still find myself losing pathing in trails to national parks. Even though I've always been lost, I've always managed to find my way back, so I've never really worried. If you are anything like me though, you may find yourself in a place unfamiliar. But when you get in this bad habit, you find yourself in a place called nowhere. Use my recollection of the unknown place as a warning or a guide. I never recommend searching for it. I thank you though for taking the chance to listen to my experience, and hopefully this may help you in some way. The weather was set to be sunny, with slight rain dipping into Wednesday afternoon. And my hike was set to start early morning Monday around 8 a.m. And it was set to be returning the following Monday. I packed myself the essential camping dry meals, clothes, toilet paper, a life straw, etc. Due to my own beliefs though, I didn't bring a firearm with me. If you go searching for nowhere though, which I don't recommend, bring one. I set off on my journey. The Monday was relaxing. I decided to get lost in a national park this time around. There were plenty of streams to get water from, to be able to heat up my meals. I'd taken pictures of many of the animals I saw on my hike, like birds, deers, squirrels, and even some owls flying around in the daytime. I made my way up a mountain, found a small cave. It was small and flat. I thought it would be a great place for me to hide away from the elements. It was beautiful outside though. The cave was just a view off the mountain range. There was barely any light pollution where I was, and all I could see was a clear sky. I had never seen stars shine so brightly. All that was going through my head was how I wished this would never end. Be able to explore the unknown. As I lay down, I felt my eyes get heavier with each blink. My vision was slowly left by nothing but darkness. The sounds of rocks and falling and a woman's voice had woken me. I opened my eyes, smelled a man and a woman standing 15 feet away from me near the entrance of the cave. As I wiped away the sleep from my eyes, the woman spoke up with a wave of her hand. She told me good morning. Hoping to disturb your sleep out here. I looked at them both with a drowsy voice and told them, no, you're both alright. Just camping here for a bit. We talked for a bit while we all shared breakfast. The woman told me that her name was Kate, and her husband from Schenectady, New York. They came here on a week trip like me, but found themselves lost. I promised to find their way back with them, since it wasn't long since I started off my hike. We came to an agreement so that we would continue our hikes together instead of heading back. It was only a Tuesday after all, and neither of us wanted to cancel our trips early. We wandered for quite some time, causing us to travel miles into the forest. Kate's husband, Joseph, was a friendly but timid man. He was cautious, while his wife was absolutely carefree. Constantly on guard, his eyes wouldn't leave his wife no matter what. It was clear to me it was his first time hiking. I imagined the fear of being lost in the woods was getting at him. I managed to start up a conversation with him and asked him about his time in New York. I told him, hey Joseph, what do you do for work? Told me that he worked at the factories in his town, paid him well, but the hours were heavy. told him I imagined it was hard to get the time off, working in a factory. Kate piped up and said, "If you can't tell, he clearly didn't want to be here. He came for me." Joseph gave off a chuckle and said, "The missus wants, the missus gets." The small talk continued on for hours as we aimlessly wandered through the woods. We got to know each other. I told him about my life in the northern parts of New York too, away from all the city life. I was never one to be stuck in the concrete jungle that was the city. I wanted to find something, explore something new. In a way, it was foreshadowing the events to come. The rain had started early that day. The pitter-patter of the raindrops fell onto our heads. As the rain continued, we found ourselves in the midst of a storm. The skies roared with thunder, lightning. We found ourselves running through the woods, looking for shelter, which we found ourselves on the cliffside. We were met with a cave. We took shelter in the inside. Our clothes were damp and dripping. Where did that storm come from?" Kate inquired. I don't know, it was like hell on earth. Did you see the lightning? It was insane, Joseph said. It's dark as hell in here. We need to light this place up, so if anyone sees this cave lit, they can find us. I told them. I went and took a flare out of my pocket. I noticed that deeper in the cave was a light. It was breaching through the darkness. I asked Kate and Joseph if they could see that. They told me yes. I let them know. We should go deeper. It doesn't appear to be a cave, but some kind of man-made tunnel. Maybe people on the other side. I encouraged us to go deeper of my own curiosity. I actually doubted we'd see people, but at the same time, if this was man-made for people to travel, there's a chance it could be some form of trail on the other side, where we could find a map So we all ended up going forward, but that is when lightning crashed behind us. In front of the cave we were standing at, the ground began to shake and the cave started to crumble behind us. Sounds of rocks and earth breaking around us filled our ears. As we all set foot and started running towards the exit, we ran as fast as our legs could when suddenly I had tripped on some marble on the floor. Right when I thought that my life was over, Joseph had grabbed me and pulled me up. We ran together and we could see the shining of the light become brighter, almost blinding. Heat radiated from the light. That didn't matter in that moment, because if we turned back we'd be crushed. We broke through the light. That is when everything had faded to black. I awoke to the taste of sand in my mouth and the sound of the wind howling. I rubbed my eyes and got the sand out of them. I noticed that where we were laying was not the place we were at before. I know that's going through a tunnel and not knowing what's on the other side. I mean, we were in a place completely unknown, but that's not it. This wasn't even the same climate. It was hot, and there was a sea of red sand all around us. Nothing like the national forest we were just in. I shook Kate and Joseph awake. What's going on? Why are you waking me? Kate said this while rubbing her face when she finally opened her eyes and started to freak out. What's going on? Where the hell are we? Joseph, we were in the mountain. None of this makes sense. Kate said with fear shaking in her voice. I have no clue what's going on. We should have never went on this trip. It's so hot here. You have any clue what's happening? Joseph asked me. I told them. I have no clue. I'm just confused with both of you. My memory's a little unclear. I remember running through the tunnel towards a bright light. We just awoke here. We need to figure out where we were. Instantly took out our phones. We had access to the internet, but nothing could be sent out. With every call we made, we were left with ringing. It's clear to us. We were stuck here. No contact for help. It took us a while to try to accept what was going on. We luckily still had all our gear on us. We're stuck in the middle of nowhere, though. But At least we had our food. We wandered for hours, though, in the sands until we found something that resembled civilization. It was a road. The sand was compact and smooth and stretched on as far as the eye could see. Do you see that? Something's moving. It's like a vehicle, said Joseph. I told him he must be seeing things, because as far as I could see, there was nothing. My doubt quickly subsided when I could hear the sound of an engine. The Jeep was driving towards us. We began to wave our arms for help and screaming over here. That was no grievous mistake. That's when I noticed the ground began to shake. Off in the distance behind us, something was moving through the sands, and it was big. Kate noticed it too, and we quickly began to run towards the Jeep heading towards us. From all the walking, our running was slowed. I turned back to see whatever it was under the sand was getting closer and closer. I watched as a thing in the sand shot out of it. It was a massive serpent, with grayish and green scales running all along its body. Its mouth opened and gave way with an awful hellish scream. All I could focus on was the creatures behind us. I was frozen in my tracks. It was only then when I could hear the slamming of a horn, a man grabbing me, ushering me to get in. The Jeep made it to us, and a bearded biker-looking man got me inside the car and jumped into the passenger seat. He yelled, "Mike, book it!" The driver's foot slammed against the gas as the creature lunged its head downwards into the car, missing us by a couple of seconds. Its head hit the ground and it was stunned for a minute, giving us time to drive as fast as we could. It was keeping up with us, though. We asked them what the hell was going on, which we were met with confusing response. You're in nowhere. I'll answer your questions if we can escape this beast. Grab me my rifle in the back. I grabbed his long black rifle from the trunk in the Jeep, and the man took it from me and started taking shots at the beast. He missed half his shots, but the final one wounded it. He shot it at its eye. It began to scream and slam its head against the ground in pain. Finally got away. We drove for miles in silence, not knowing what was going on, until the driver, Mike, came onto new ground. We were left in the red sands to be met with a vast dark green forest. Its brush was thick, but the road did not stop. It changed the tarmac. No turns nor any cracks into it. It took us some time, but Mike pulled off into some brush. We were met with the sight of a cabin. It was massive. It appeared to be old and run down. Mike and the biker-looking dude told us that to get inside. We were met with a room with a spiraling staircase that led to the second floor and a dining room on the right. We all put our stuff down and entered the dining room, while Mike lit a candle on the table. We all sat down, and that's when the adrenaline finally left us. Fear had finally consumed us. We begged for answers, where we were and what was going on. Joseph tried to console Kate, who was wrapped in her arms, ugly crying in the chair. We're going to need you guys to calm down. It's safe here. We can answer your questions. You just have to relax. My name's Jose. Your guys' names, said the biker-looking dude. We give him our names and how we got there. He informed us that it sounds similar to how they ended up there. We're lucky though. People falling out of bounds in the sands don't usually make it back, he told us. He also explained that the place doesn't have a name. We should just stay on the road. Only places like this ones we were at. This cabin. We're a fluke. Anyways, I'll tell you guys more in my next part. Now I have to go. Stay safe, explorers. Hey everyone, this is me, Red. Thank you for listening. I was stuck in the Buffalo blizzard for a while, and then finally made my way back home after a couple of days, and then managed to get COVID immediately while back. So now I'm actually back, and I wrote the story, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. We have a Discord you guys can join too. It'll be in the description below. And if you guys like the video, go ahead and like, comment, tell me how you guys thought of the story. I read all these stories myself. If I don't, the writer's name is going to be in the front of the video, and the Reddit in the bottom. Anyways, thank you guys.